Barkanku a cikin wannan video din za mu magana akan Flexbox a cikin CSS. Me ake cewa Flexbox? What are the properties of Flexbox? Za mu magana akan examples of Flexbox and some of the properties of Flexbox. So me ake cewa Flexbox a cikin CSS kuma me amfani ne kuma why should you use Flexbox in your CSS? So basically, I'll start this with a given an example. Za mu je wannan website ne wanda ake cewa Amazon.com, and probably you have heard of it. So this is an Amazon website, and when you notice, they have different items and they categorize items in a kind of different function. And example din mu shine wannan abubuwan da muka gani, you are seeing things, right? They are categorizing things into boxes ko muna ce masu containers, right? So those containers they are containing some certain elements, which those elements are flexible and they are being displayed dynamically. This entire website is it's a space we have a space in the muna da abu kamar yanzu an example muna da daki. So a cikin daki din we have like 100% weight of our room, right? And in that room we want to be able to keep our items in different type of things, and which is this people what they are doing in their website. They are able to kind of categorize item in a certain manner of box, and they are having that flexibility of displaying their items in a different manner in a both horizontal and vertical way. So Flexbox, it allows us to display our elements in our website in a detail, in a horizontal or vertical manner, and it gives us the power to adjust the size of our container or of our elements. So first shine examples of Flexbox. Example of Flexbox shine guda biyu. Those are like the diversion code type of Flexbox and chiwa in the those are like the ways, two ways in that you can display your element. Your element is either going to be in a horizontal way or in a vertical way. If you can see from this element from this website, they have made use of two. This element, this box is an horizontal box because is a horizontal, it's going in a horizontal way. While this is another box. This is another box because this whole website is a set of boxes. Basically, they are using set of boxes to display their elements in their website. This element here, this box here, is displayed in a vertical manner. So in a vertical manner. So we have two main things, which is like horizontal manner and in a vertical manner. And this is one of the most important things. You have to know that Flexbox is a container where we are trying to display elements in our container in a different fashion. If we have three elements to be displayed in a container, we want to display those elements in a different manner, in a different sizes. We have a space of 100%, maybe 100 pixels, right? So we can decide, since we have three elements to be added in a 100 pixel space, we can decide to go with our first element to be 60% pixel or 60 pixel, while the other element can go for 20 pixel. Or we can say the second element can go for 60 pixels while the other element can go for 20 pixels. Randomly, we can basically use any value that we want, but a value that later give us that 100% or cover the 100% space. Basically, so since we say Flexbox is a container, so we have idan zamu implement it in it, we have to first create our container, and which I have created in HTML. And so this I have created two set of containers, and I'm going to give an example again. So one and the first set of containers, which I say flex direction, with the flex direction of role, which is the horizontal axis, and the second one is the vertical column direction Flexbox. So, and I just created classes of container, which is the name. I gave it the name container, and I give role display role layout, right, as the name. of my container, and here I give this as container layout ko ba haka ba. So anan idan ina son in creating din, ina son in style din wannan elements in ko wannan gaba ɗaya shi container din, so I will call the name container and I'll come to my CSS page in to come and style it. So I'm gonna call it, because this is a class, right? So I call the name of the class. So then I call it in class name then Zanibada elements in core property then display as flex, which we have discussed about it in our previous tutorial. But display as flex will allow us to be able to use the whole element or the element to be displayed in a flexible manner, right? It's not going to be in a static manner. We can easily come and say, okay, static, right? Or display as block, right? Which is like it's going to display in a static manner. So but we are dealing with flexible elements. We want our element to be displayed in a flexible manner. So abunda that machine okay, flex, right? And have flex. And the second thing in the machine, we are going to say, okay, flex rep. And this we kind of be the one that we hold on all the elements in our thing, right? Because we are going to be putting elements. If you can see here, we are going to be putting elements in our container. So this will be the one that will hold on. We wrap all our elements in that container. So we are going to give it the value of rep, right? We're going to give it the value of rep. Then the next thing, Shini, since we have created our flex box and we have gone through this two axioms, right? Second thing is to talk about element properties, right? We have element properties, and those this na farkon nan shine container property at cikin Flexbox Sense. These are the properties of the containers we have, and we have more of it. And I will create. I have a short book or guidebook that I created, and I will link it in the description box. So ku join it in Telegram da mu a channel ga za ku samu shi wannan guidebook din da wanda zai ba ara ba ku details about shi create wannan Flexbox din. So this is a container properties, right? She container property then she want the Flexbox in. So next she need item property in our magana. And since we have already given our thing, our container as item, and here the name with the name of item, right? Since we have this class, it's having two claim, it's having two name, it's having the name of item, and it's also having the name of container. So we can use both of these names to kind of call it or reference to it and also style it. So we are just going to come here and be like, okay, item. So now we are calling the entire items we have here to gaba the items ɗin da muke da su a cikin wannan container din gaba ɗayan su shiga shi nan. We are just going to use the name of item to call them entirely. So here we are going to say, okay, our item, we want our item background color should be okay. So we want our item color, background color. Our item should be in a certain type of color. You can give it any type of color, but it can just be okay color. The color we can be like, okay, we want a light blue, maybe a light blue color. So a light blue color, this is like the one we choose, just the color. So and we be having maybe text in our thing, and maybe we want our text to be in a white color. Then what are those things that to be included? Maybe you can say text align, right? Because we want in our container, maybe we are going to be writing something, we want our text to be displayed in a centered way or in a certain way. We can say, okay, our container should go for the with text align, sorry, not element. Okay, we can say like, okay, text align, and we can be like text align should be centered. And the next thing of the things, we are dealing with containers, and we want whatever things we are dealing with items, so whatever to be displayed in our item should be displayed in a certain way. So we can go maybe like for example, like justify content, which is the whole entire content in she content in the content in the a cikin one in cikin box and ko content in the cikin container them. So one then we can go with it like, okay, we can go maybe centered. We want our item we want our content to be centered. So we can say, okay, our item, centered item. So apart from that, we can move to display. Like, since our item, we can give a padding to our items, because okay, we can say, okay, padding as 10 pixels. Our item should be padded for like 10 pixels, and we can give a margin of like margin of like 5 pixels, not top margin, so like maybe margin of like 5 pixels. All right, and we can say maybe item align or align item, align item or align content basically, and even that also we can give it as centered. So all these things are the ones that are like categorizing in or creating of our element. So this element, about the elements in the creating, so isn't that I'm receiving in a mozo and number, because this is what we have created as our HTML, which is the normal HTML we have created with our style. So let's do it. So you see, this is our initial creation of our element. Or you see, we have created boxes. This is initial creation of our boxes, which we have all style. So the next thing she needs is to call the individual name and to display our boxes in a certain way we want. So since this first one, I have this first container, I have given the property of rule rule layout, right? So I can just come here and give with the name role layout as my class name, and I'll just okay, role layout. So role layout, it has two things. It has one of the most important thing, which is here. So we have to give this name, which is the flex direction. Flex direction shini, it's give the CSS, it's tell the CSS that this is certain type of flexbox that makes some which is the in terms of horizontal way or in terms of the vertical way. So you can say, okay, flex direction. So flex direction, and then since we are dealing with a role, flex direction, so we can just go, okay, role flex direction, and it will give us a flex direction that is role. Next thing she needs is to style individual one is to style our individual element. So we have already created all this individual element. This is this, and we have created them individual element, but we have to style them, right? So we can just go, okay, item dash one, and that is what we have I have named them item dash one, and similarly with the other items. So maybe in our item dash one, we are calling this class item dash one, right? So our item dash one should have a certain what do you call it? We should use a flex. What do you call it? Another thing which is like direction bias, called flex bias basically. Flex bias. Flex bias, yes. So what does flex bias property does in here? So what flex bias property does is to give a certain format. We said we have 100% pixels, right? For example, we are just taking an example, right? In 100%, she need the entire space in the entire like space in like or entire space in container is 100%, right? 100 pixel or 100%, whatever you call it. So in that 100%, we want to give some certain elements, right? We want to distribute those 100% in a certain categories based on the items we have. If we are having 3 items, we can decide to go maybe 50, 30, and 20, or we can go 60, 30, 60, 20, 20, like that. Those are the distribution of the space. So this space, when the flex bias in, it help us to do that, right? So in Zoom, maybe first elements and more, then we can be like, okay, we want our element to be, since here we can be, one more thing to be added here is the height, because the height and the weights usually be in a certain manner, which is like 100%. So we can do like, okay, weight of the entire element should be 100%, right? And we can be like, okay, 100%. And one more thing is to add the heights, because our element need to be in a certain height that we want. So maybe the maximum height we can be, okay, 500%, 500 pixels, as our height. So here also we need to add our height to each element. This is an element, right? For each element that is there in the container, we need to give some certain height. So we can just do it. So here we can be like, okay, maybe like 300 pixels and 300 pixels like this, and we can give it a height of maybe 60 pixels, 600 pixels, sorry. And maybe we can just kind of repeat this whole process for the other thing, and we just have to adjust one thing. We have to adjust the names, which is items 2 and item 3. So in this item 2 and item 3, what I can do, I can just maybe change it, and this we can give it to maybe 3, maybe some 2 or maybe 3, and here we can be like we can give it 4 actually. 4, we can give it 3, and we can give this as 4 or 450, right? Sorry, 450. We can give it 450 as a size, and we can give this maybe as, yeah, maybe 300, and give this as 450, 350. So something like that we can do. And if we should run here, you can see our element is displayed in a certain way. So here our element is displayed in 3 categories, right? And in 3 categories, because this is based on what we have seen. But if you can see, this element, one element in, is more bigger than this F element. It's because of this we have given the highest element, which is this 600 pixels, right? 600 what is, sorry, not 600 pixels, sorry. We give the flex bias as 400, and but if we should be able to do maybe, okay, 600, right? We can maybe say 600 as our biases, or maybe you can give it up to 700, and we can give the other elements as maybe a more or less certain. But this can maybe take it out of the whole 100% thing. So Kunga, since I told you, since we are dealing with containers, right, and we should make whatever item we are keeping should be in the size of the container, right? If this item is more bigger than this, it will be a problem, right? But what we can do here is that we have give the first item the biases as flex bias as 700. So what we can do here, we can maybe go for like 200, and maybe you can just, okay, 200, and we can also make this as 200. If we save it, I think we should be able to get a more kind of thing. So here you see we have our element. The first element is 700, and here are 200, or we can even adjust it more further to say the second element here as 250, as 250 element. And if we should save it, we should be able to get a more little bigger thing, while also keeping our whole entire thing in a what do you call it, in our boxes. So this is it. So, and if you notice, you see that we are having double things, right? Which is like we are having double things here, because this style is coming to this style. So there is no problem. It's because we have both declared this I have just called this name, this role layout container, right? And since by default we have only called that, and it just give it the name, right? So in Zinda we call it in one she one container name. So we just have to maybe call this container column layout, say mozo ana, say we call it in a column layout, and we just have to call it as a, what do you call it, and just one in. So our column layout is what is been displayed as flex. This is really important. Flex direction in machine column, right? And you can see there's a suggestion. And if we should serve it, we should be able to get a more little kind of a different approach on it, because this is the vertical up, right? The vertical way. So here, since the column is vertical, you can see the display itself, it became vertical. So this is the 700, is a 700, and this right here is the 250, right? According to what we have given here, 250, and the last container here is the 200 container, and all of these containers are having the height of 600 height. The only difference is that they are being displayed in a different way. And if you can see from my first thing here, this first thing, you can see, if you look at it here, you can see this is almost the same thing, where this they are displaying their item. The only thing is that we just go blindly and we are displaying. So in this item we can add things in it. We can add items, we can add in our items, in terms of just writing this item, right? We can come and write a test. For example, you can go off okay, we can maybe say some story something, I don't know. Yeah, for example, let's say story, I don't know, this is just a random text we are copying into our containers. Since we are going to copy this into our 700 container, because that is the big container we are having in here, right? So, and I'm just, instead of here, we have, since this is the king, so we are just going to come, okay, replace it. This whole entire div is a container, right? We're just going to replace it, and we can say, okay, yeah, we want to use the element of p1, right, which is paragraph. We are adding this paragraph, and we have added this text. Similarly, also we can come to the second one also, which is a 700% 700 pixels, and we can easily just, okay, delete this also and give a p1 again, and we can kind of uh, put the text, and it's give us same we can see how our element will be displayed in the whole scenario. So here we have less distance. So kongachiwa, we have distance. So the first one is that the first one we have here, the entire whole thing has been displayed in this container, and this thing is been displayed in the container. So that's how you can use container, or you can use Flexbox in your CSS, and it's a super useful thing. And this is just a kind of introductory to Flexbox, and there's a lot to be learned in Flexbox and to master it. So take this knowledge and try putting in action, or try using it in your next project or website, and play with element within your website. It's going to be really fun, and I have created a kind of a guide, which I'm going to put in the Telegram group. You can join our Telegram group. We are going to be putting a lot of informative content in the code Telegram group, and it's a place for you to grow and to learn and to share knowledge within both of us. And I hope I will see you good, and see you next video.